Well, good morning everybody. I've got this Wi-Fi radio that I did up some months ago, and it's been working really well. It's been in our main room as our main radio for a while now. Yesterday it started at around about 2 o'clock. It just started making a crashing noise, a silver mica noise. I turned it off and I thought I'd bring it in and have a look. I thought it might be interesting to troubleshoot what it's doing, so I'll just turn it on. So that's the noise it's making. It doesn't
the Holman Street ferry terminal towards south.
It doesn't respond to the volume control, so even on minimum volume it's there. So that tells us that it's after the volume control. Here's the circuit for it. There's the volume control here. So our signal's coming along into the detector and out through the plate and into the output valve and off to the speaker. So what we're looking for is micas in this area, and that looks like one there. They've just got 100, so I'm assuming that's a mica. Can't be anything else. So that's got 105 volts on one side and ground on the other. And there's another one here somewhere. There it is, 22 puff. So that's got 230 volts and goes to the grid, which is more or less ground. So there's quite a voltage pressure on that cap there, and the less pressure there. So I would say it'll be one of those two. I'm fairly confident it's mica because of the noise it's making, and that's typical of the mica noise. So let's have a look at that and we'll see if we can change them. So there's the little 22 puff capacitor there. The noise is still present, and that's it in the circuit. There's the plate for the output valve, and it's going around to the grid. So let's see what happens if I cut it without shorting myself out. I'd say this noise is still there. This has been going for a few minutes now. It hasn't made the noise. It still has a little slight noise in it, but that might be just the normal AM crackles you get having cut that. But the other capacitors here, the noise is back. So we haven't cured it by cutting that one. But here's the other one here coming off the plate of that detector. So if I snip that, I'll actually snip it that side. There we go. Right. So let's have a go at snipping that one without killing myself. I'd say that's still doing it. So it may be neither of those. The only thing left is the valve, one of the valves, the output valve of the detector. I think it's still there. I think the issue is still there. So what I'm going to do is I will put some new micas in there anyway, and we'll move on to something else. Here's my replacement 100 puff cap, and we went to a club workshop the other day, and they were talking about soldering. That was the subject of the day, and somebody mentioned, or the bloke giving the talk said about these Sprague quinks, and I can't remember the name now. It's something that started with a Q. That's about all I remember. But what they were was little spirals, and you see them on radios. I've seen them. The fact the one I'm working on now is not this one. Has them all over the place. So, but they're just a curl of wire, and you put it over another wire and solder them together to get a good connection. You don't have to do J hooks or anything. So I'll just show you what it does. Another gentleman came up with the idea of this, which he's been using at home apparently. But it's just a pin with a little hole on the bottom. So the way this works is you just put a little bend in the lead, put it in the hole, and just wind it. So you make it whatever length you like. And there it is there, little spiral ready to solder on your lead. Let's do this one. I won't bend it, we'll see how we go. Well, there it is installed. That's not too bad. I think I'm going to have to rethink about it. This is the first time I've ever tried it. Looks pretty good, but I lost too much lead length. I think the nail that I've used there is too big a diameter for this. So what I could do is do another one at the other end and have a smaller nail and perhaps a smaller hole. So one for big leads and one for small. But there must be another way of grabbing it and twisting it without losing that centimetre on the end of the lead. So I'll have to think about that, and I'll come up with another plan. I'll just turn the radio back on, and it's as quiet as a mouse. So I don't think I fixed the fault by doing that, because I had them both cut and it still had the noise there. So I suspect something else, but at the moment it's working perfectly. I can move the valves around. There's no noise from that. Oh. So maybe that's all it was. Maybe it's just the detector having dirty sockets. I'll clean them up, and I'll let it run for a while, and we'll see if it comes back. I cleaned the contacts, put it all back together again, and now it's quiet. You can move it around without any noise at all. I suspect that was the problem originally, and it wasn't the micas. Well, it's been running for a couple of days on and off now. It hasn't made a single noise since. So I'm going to say it's repaired. I'm going to put the back on and put it back in the kitchen area there, and we can continue listening to it. So what it turned out, I'm confident, is that valve socket was dirty, and it was causing the crackling. So before, when I put the curl on the capacitor lead, I used the little hole in there and wound it around, and I thought that was a lot of wasted lead length. I was struggling to get the lead length I needed just on that small cap. So what I've done is I've cut a slot in the top of the nail head there, and now I can just put that in the lead of the capacitor and start twisting it that way. There it is, all done. So pretty easy, pretty quick, and I just need to cut that little tang off or just bend it away with some pliers, and I've lost very little length in the lead apart from what's used in making the coil. So that seems like a better way of doing it, and I'll call that the Mark II version. And once again, thanks for the members in the club that came up with the idea. So yeah, great. Well, I've learned something from this. Sometimes it's just the easiest thing that's wrong, and not all the technical stuff that I went through. Hopefully you've been interesting. Anyway, hope you join me next time. I've got another video coming out very shortly.